I'm making a video now, and this is actually one of the first videos I've made where I just sit back in my chair here and blab about bullshit without using my dry erase board. And this is this is going to be about cannabis. See, I have an idea about cannabis. I've been using cannabis since mid-2014 again, and I'm always looking for ways to maximize the experience, to make it so I get the most benefit with the least amount of bad side effects. Because cannabis is great. Again, a bit on a quick backstory, just to give you an idea of my ongoing adventures with cannabis. As a teenager, I used to smoke cannabis all the time. The goal of life back then was to get high. And then I stopped using cannabis, when I was like 21, somewhere in that year. And then I didn't use cannabis at all, except for the rarest occasion until, for like a year in my early 30s, I experimented again for like a year, but then I stopped after that, and I didn't get back into it again until mid-2014. Again, and the difference between all those times was this current run since 2014. I'm really happy with how I've managed the cannabis experience, because those other times when I had quit using cannabis or whatever, I did so because I fucking hated it. You know what I mean? Because there's always a need for a break from cannabis, because cannabis, as I've said in other cannabis videos, cannabis is really a strong feminine energy is associated with cannabis. Because cannabis is like a fucking woman. It will, infuse your life with beauty, music, and love. It really will. It'll just bring about all the greatness of life. It will just make everything much more vibrant, much more beautiful, and much more sensual, just like a woman will. But like a woman, because of all those things, it's very easy to drown in that sea of ecstasy, and become consumed by it. And then what happens after a while is all that was good about it has long since vanished, and it ends up becoming a crutch, ends up becoming a sort of habit, it ends up becoming just sort of a watered down, desensitized version of what it was. But still, again, I've been so good using cannabis, and I take days off every week. I take off at least one day a week, and I try for 2. And every now and then I'll go on an extended run where I don't take any days off, like over a week. And then usually, if I do that, I'm ready for a day off after about 10 days or so. I'm ready for a day off, and I'll take one off. But even with that, I'm still doing very well with it. But you have to keep in mind, though, I'm not sure if I've mentioned this on other cannabis videos, but I use next to nothing for cannabis. I mean, a cannabis session for me will be like 0.03 to 0.04 of a gram. That's minuscule. And just to give you a perspective, like if I get an eighth, or is an eighth or 3.5 grams, depending on where in the world you're from, that will last me months. I mean, most people, an eighth will only last at the very most a week if you're lucky. But an eighth will last me months on top of months, because I just use so little, because that's all I need. Because with me, one of the I sort of suffer from one of the side effects that people who have taken deep trips suffer from when it comes to cannabis is if we use too much cannabis, it just thrusts us right back into that fucking state, and it puts you in a place where you're basically tripping if you use too much cannabis. So for me, if I use too much cannabis, if I just, I'll basically be tripping my balls off, and it's just not fun. So for me, the less I use, the better. Less is more for people like me who have gone on these outrageously deep, psychedelic trips. So for me, just using that, 0.03, 0.04 is just right. It really is just right. It's perfect. But I wouldn't even. I don't even want to use any more than that. Every now and then I might use more than that, but I don't, because I know what happens when I do. It's unpleasant and it sucks. So that amount of weed for me is perfect, and that and I am happy with where I am. But right now my life is in a weird paradox. On one hand, I'm producing these epic fucking videos, especially with the tarot, and the True Tree of Life series, the Yggdrasil, the Oseram Tarot Spiral. All of these works are like monumental, and they're fucking breaking open like ancient secrets, Atlantean secrets that were lost to humanity. Basically, that's how powerful this shit is. So on one hand, I'm producing these works that are just like epic and divine, and on the other hand, my life is like falling apart. Really, I mean, in a lot of ways it is. I'm in a jam. I'm in a position right now that really is horrible. But like I said, it's all exercise of mindfulness. And I'm doing a really good job of being mindful through anything I'm going through, and I'm also doing so while still being a pleasant person to be around. So it's all a exercise of mindfulness, and how because it's all about being able to ride the waves, because we all go through waves of positiveness and then hardship and shit. And it just right now for me it happens to be on the lower end of the pendulum, which is fine. But but it's causing me to question my actions and what I'm doing. And one of the things that is sort of there and could be playing a part in the role in some ways is the cannabis use, because it's easy to get into a place with cannabis where you're using too much cannabis on a daily basis, and what I'm thinking is maybe that. But see, in the process of these ponderings of what to do with cannabis, I came up with an idea about cannabis that might be perfect. It might be a perfect way to use the power of cannabis and the sensuality of cannabis without becoming consumed or drowning in it. And it's so simple. We see it in nature. And we also see it on the Zodiac too, which I'll get to. But, in the world, with, everything's in cycles. Everything has a cycle. And especially, females or girls or women, they have a monthly cycle. Every fucking month, they have their period. Okay, it doesn't matter, unless there's something wrong with them. But they have, any normal, person is going to have their period. Every girl is going to have her period every month. It doesn't matter who they are; they have to live through that. So that caused me to begin to think about cannabis use and the period. Well, on the Zodiac, if you recall from my Oseram Tarot Spiral videos, the 12-month year is divided into 4 quadrants. In the winter month, the winter seasons were the womb of the year. And that's a time for being reborn. That's a time for the sort of like the gestation period for the coming life cycle that would be from Aries to the 9 months from Aries to Sagittarius. Okay, and then those 3 winter months would be a womb. Well, I was thinking about that with the idea of cannabis. So the idea basically boils down to this, and I'm going to start it. I'm starting it right now. This is day 1 of that. But the idea is to, in every moon cycle or every month, take a week off from cannabis. Right? So you go 3 weeks on using cannabis as much as you want, right? And then for 1 week in that cycle, you take a whole week off and you just sort of recalibrate from the cannabis in that time. Except I wouldn't do it by month. I wouldn't do it by calendar month. I'm going to do it by moon cycle. Right, just like just like the moon. The moon guides the cycles of the planet and the waves and the tides and all that. So I'll use the moon cycle to guide what I do. So every moon cycle, from new moon to new moon, during one of those quarters, I'll take off the entire quarter. And that could be anywhere from 5 to 7 days, depending on the time of year it is. So it won't always be a full week. It could be 5 days, it could be 7 days, but I'm going to take off one of those moon cycles every moon cycle. And I think that might be the perfect way to use cannabis, to think about it, because it would give you that week to sort of detox, even though I hate using the word detox when it comes to cannabis, because there's nothing toxic about cannabis. It's just, cannabis is very seductive. Cannabis is very alluring. It's just like a woman. Cannabis wants to suck you in. Cannabis wants to consume you. Cannabis wants to devour you. And it's up to you as a man, especially a man, to have that presence of mind and that, to be strong within yourself when interacting with her or it, And I think the idea of taking that week, I'll just say a week, but taking a week off in that period is the perfect way to enjoy cannabis and gain all benefits of it without the drawback effects of using cannabis, because it's so easy to get consumed. It is. And but I think this might be the really, really good idea. It'll also make you strong too. Mentally tough, mentally strong, because you're doing something. It's like fasting. One of the best things to do for your body and mind is fast 1 day a week or 1 day every other week. Because just doing that teaches you to overcome the impulse to just stuff your fucking face, or to use food as a reflexive thing where you just throw shit in your mouth just out of nervous habit. Because if you're fasting for a whole day, you have to work through those impulses. Well, it's the same thing with cannabis or anything. Cannabis becomes with me, the way I've been using cannabis these past years, I've been doing a really good job of not getting consumed by it. But even still, even with the way I use it, I still find myself in places where I feel the pull. I feel the pull of it. Cannabis wants to pull me in and drown me, is basically what I'm getting at. And right now, my life isn't a place where I need to be. I can't be drowning in ecstasy like that. I gotta be sharp, because there's a lot going on right now that needs my undivided attention. I need to be clear, I need to be sharp, I need to have that, the strongest masculine presence, stepping forward right now. So basically my idea was to just stop using cannabis for an extended amount of time and all, but then I started thinking about the moon cycles and the idea of nature, when it comes to feminine energies and all that. So, because one thing about cannabis too that has been bothering me, sort of, for a while, is the dream state. And I'm pretty sure I made a video about this, but it's cannabis in the dream state. Cannabis makes it harder for you to recall your dreams. In that, one of the things I hear from people who do take time off from cannabis is that they say that within a couple days or so that the dreams get super vivid, you know. And some people say it's only temporary, but then that got me thinking too. So if I'm taking a week off every month, that would give me a period of time every month to where I could, sort of detox off the weed for those 5 to 7 days, and that should be enough time to get me powerfully into the dream state again, to where I'm having deep, powerful dreams that I recall, and be able to maximize that as well. And then after that period's over, I'm free to indulge in cannabis as much as I want for those other 3 moon quarters. You know what I mean? And the thing is, I'll probably take a day off in that time too, every now and then, because after a certain amount of time, I just want to take a day off from cannabis. You gotta just let your head sort of catch up to itself. You know what I mean? Because even right now, I can feel, your head, you get into a fog, a sort of fog after a while with cannabis, and it's there. You can see it, especially, I'll watch older videos that I've made before I started using cannabis, and there's a distinct difference, I mean, in my demeanor, than after when I started using cannabis. So, I mean, and I think that this will be a perfect way to alleviate that, because basically what I'm getting at is like taking 1 or 2 days off a week doesn't seem to be enough to counteract the effects of the dream inhibition or whatever. Because I still dream, I still have dreams, and sometimes I still recall my dreams, but it's like because I can feel that I'm in the dream state. I know that when I sleep, I'm going into the dream state. I just forget what happens there, you know what I mean? So I'm not having good dream recall, but I do know I am dreaming, and sometimes I do recall my dreams, but not to where I like. I feel like I'm sacrificing that for the cannabis right now. And the idea is that, taking 5 to 7 days off every month should be enough to recalibrate your body and allow me to get not only into fucking better dream recall states, but maybe even hyper exaggerated dream states too, because if I'm taking that time off every month, that may sharpen the dream experience even better. It might be a better, more powerful way to engage in dream work too. So using, because this isn't an idea of abstaining from cannabis. It's about maximizing cannabis, because I love cannabis. Cannabis is fucking excellent for body work, yoga, sex, martial arts. Cannabis is fucking amazing. But cannabis does have a price to pay. I mean, there is a price to pay when you use it, and it does sort of, when you're high, your head is sort of in the clouds a little bit, you know what I mean? There is definitely that aspect to it, Yeah, can you push through it? Yes, but it's still there. And I'm thinking that by taking this period of time off every month, not only will it be great for just my own, personal development of will, but it'll also make the cannabis experience better, and it'll also make the dream experience better. So I think this could be a very, very powerful win-win deal. I'll have to make a follow-up video on it, but so I'm thinking that so the cannabis period, the idea is to harmonize with the cycles of nature with cannabis by doing the same thing that every fucking woman does, is have every month she has a period. So I'm going to incorporate that into the use of cannabis, and every month take 1 quarter off. Of the 4 moon quarters in a moon phase, I'm going to take 1 of those off from cannabis every month. And then instead of having off days every week like I do, I'll get rid of those, and then in the other 3 quarters, I'm free to use cannabis all I want. There is no restriction at that anymore. So I'll see how that works. And then by taking the full week off, that should allow me to cleanse myself, allow my head to sort of come out of the clouds a little bit, and then have better dream experiences too. So we'll see what happens with that, and I'll stay tuned for a following video. Thanks.